As my world continues to grow, the farms within it are becoming more vital than ever. Large projects demand more resources, and gathering these items seems to deplete the durability of my tools in an instant. Well, a modern XP farm ought to do the trick, but why stop there? If we plan on growing our worlds, I think it's about time that we stop neglecting our farms and realise that they could be the beginning of something truly beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Forever World. It is lovely to have you here. If you've been here before, then welcome back, but if not, let me give you a quick update on last video where we made this right here. We spent last video making this glorious looking map room with this huge map floor inside, which gives us a laydown on all... It gives us a rundown of all the empty space in the world that we have yet to fill up. It was a ton of fun making this map room. I really enjoyed doing it, but we also got up to a lot of other stuff. One of those things being this entire custom mountain behind me. For some reason, I got overly ambitious and decided to make a whole custom mountain. I don't know where that came from, but we just did it. It was a ton of fun and it looks great. I'm really happy with how it turned out, so no regrets at all. We also made a lot of custom paths. We made a lovely looking bridge over here, and we made this custom village here, which has a canal running through it, which I called a reservoir. And a few of you guys are actually pretty big lake nerds, it turns out, and you corrected me on it. It's not a reservoir. I'm sorry. You're a nerd. It's just so obviously not a reservoir. I don't know why I said that. I've been to reservoirs in my life. This isn't one. Why did I say that? But luckily, today's video is nothing to do with reservoirs or canals or lakes, and it is more to do with this area over here, which currently has nothing going on. What we're going to be starting off with today is making an XP farm, because as you can see, a few of my tools are quite worn down, and that is happening a lot as I start to gather a lot more resources for different builds. The issue is though, is that my Enderman farm, where I get all of my XP, is absolutely miles away. If you are a die-hard fan, you may have caught episode 1 where we travelled 30,000 blocks away from my old location, came through this portal here, and we've just been settling in this piece of land ever since. But the issue with that is that my Enderman farm is all the way back in the old spot, which is, as I say, 30,000 blocks away. So we definitely need to bite the bullet and make an XP farm sooner rather than later. Now, I think I have picked out a pretty perfect spot of where today's build is going to go. As I said last video, we made this very long path throughout the world leading to the map room over there, but there is one thing that I'm not too keen on about it, and that it's a very lonely and quite boring walk. I do kind of see that as a good thing though. It invites us to build more things next to the path, so there is things to look at as we're going along, and that's exactly what we're going to do today by making the XP farm and today's build right here. So the first thing that we're going to do is get rid of some of these vanilla trees, get them out of the way so we have room to cook up a lovely looking build later on in the video. I recently discovered in my world that it never rains. I've never had rain, and I sometimes wondered if, you know, I was just sleeping before it rained. No, rain was completely turned off. As this was a world that I used a long time ago, I must have switched off rain, and so it was just never on, and it took me far too long to realise that it was off. Anyway, I figured out how to go into the game files and turn it back on, and I do like when it rains every now and then, but not when I'm recording. It's quite annoying when I got to record. As you can see, we got rid of all those trees. It was pretty easy to do. It didn't take long at all. By clearing out those trees, we've set up the land very nicely for the build to come, but obviously before we can start building, there is one thing that we need to do, and it's resource gathering. We literally can't build without that. In the last few videos, I've been taking on some pretty big projects, so back over in the storage room, we had some very full chests of resources. I tend to go overboard and overgather the resources that I need quite often. It's not a bad thing, because it makes the build today a lot easier, because I've got a lot of the stuff that I need already. But there will be a few nitpicky items that we need to get, so without further ado, let's get out of this rain and let's go do some resource gathering. If I can fly away, let's go! I don't think there is anything more satisfying than getting all of your materials ready for a build. Inside these shulker boxes is absolutely everything that I'll need, so we're going to take them over to the building area. As I said earlier, the resource gathering was very easy. Things like leaves, I did need to do some gathering of you know, birch leaves and spruce leaves, as you saw. But more stony items like tuff and stone and cobblestone, I already had loads of it, so I was just able to fill up some shulkers and we are pretty much ready to go. Some context on the XP farm, by the way, what we're going to be doing is using armadillos. I've never made an armadillo XP farm before, but it looks very modern. I can build it wherever I want and it's very compact, so it will fit in today's build. Well, I'm hoping that it'll fit in today's build. I have not tested if it'll fit inside the building that I've got planned, but we will just have to see, won't we? For some odd reason, I do actually already have an armadillo. He's tied to a house over here. Let's go have a look. Here he is. And he keeps dropping me these little, what are they called? Scoots. He keeps dropping me his little scoot fellas, and I've been just running in here and popping them in a chest. I've got quite a lot. I don't know where I got this guy, but we're going to need one more of him if we're going to breed him up. So that is what I will do very shortly. But first, when I'm making any sort of build, I do quite like making the backdrop of a build first. So what I'm going to do is whip up just 3 or 4 custom trees. It should be very easy just to sit in the background of the build today. And oh, I fell down. These trees' entire purpose is to just sit in the background, so I like to get them out of the way first so we can get onto the juicier building later. So let's just get those done. I know what you're thinking, they look a little bit out of place at the moment. Not too much, just maybe a little bit. But don't worry, very shortly we will be getting some foliage in there and obviously today's build, and it's all going to be tied together nicely. I mean, one thing they do is add a little bit of interest to the path. They also block the sight of this and give it a nice reveal as you're walking up the path. So they add a lot already. I think I'm a big fan of these trees. But as I said before, we need to find another armadillo really badly, or else this video cannot even go on. So let's have a look around. I have no clue where armadillos actually spawn. I'm banking that it's either in a jungle or acacia because I have both those biomes over here. So let's cross our fingers and go have a look. Okay, I'm not seeing one in this biome. Let's go check the acacia. If there's not one here, I am going to have to research it because I'm not going to frantically search my whole world. Yeah, I'm not seeing an armadillo anywhere, so I think I'm just going to look it up. Hang on, it says they spawn in savanna biomes. Am I just not looking hard enough? That one? Got it. Okay, we've got it. I didn't bring a lead. Let's chop down this tree and we're going to make a boat and we're going to take this guy all the way home. Right, we have a quick terraform job to get us out into the open ocean and then we can take this guy home nice and safely. All right, can we get through here? Yes. Why are we sinking? No. Get in. Yes, and we are off. Be scooted. Okay, park up at the dock, and we are going to leave this guy here for now whilst we sleep and go get a lead for him. It'll be much easier if we get a lead. Let's break him out of there. Get him on a lead. No littering as well. Can you come up here? Come on, come on. Yes. Okay, onwards. I feel bad. His feet don't move fast enough. Okay. Oh, this is cruel. Bang. Okay, that was a pretty big job getting 2 of these. If we didn't get 2, the farm wasn't going to work. So all we need to do now is breed them up with some spider eyes, I think it is, and then we can get cracking on the farm. Okay, we have temporarily moved them over here, and I believe I'm right in saying that it's spider eyes that breed these. It is. Yes, we've done it. Perfect. Okay, we've got a baby, which means we're ready to go. Okay, the XP farm is... Oh, God. Okay, the XP farm is in place for where the build is going to be. All we need to do now is get a zombie into this little cage. Got him. Okay, let's chuck a name tag on this guy. And then the last job is going to be getting the armadillos into the chamber up there. Okay, the farm is now done. I had to change the zombie and put him into a boat because for some reason the armadillos weren't getting scared when he was just sat here in his little pod. I think it might be more of a bug to do with leads. When you put an armadillo on a lead, it cannot get scared. It's so that it can keep on walking when you're dragging it along. But then when taking them off the lead, they still weren't getting scared. I have absolutely no explanation why, but I can only think that it might be a bug. But for some reason, moving this guy into the boat in here made them keep getting scared. I will link the video below that I used for this farm, but just keep in mind that I have changed it a little bit. But one thing that you will notice is that all of my tools are now repaired. I bred up a few more armadillos, put them in, and then gave it one little test run, and I'll show you, for example, how it works now. So what we do is we splash them with the infested potion, light the campfire, and silverfish come streaming out the bottom, which we can kill and get loads and loads of XP. The potions that I'm using last 3 minutes, so we have 3 minutes of silverfish pouring out to get all the XP we need, which is plenty of time. And basically the concept of this farm is that the zombie scares the armadillos into their shell, and so when they're in their shell, the campfire actually doesn't do enough damage to hurt them at all. They regen their health faster than they're getting hurt. So the armadillos are invincible, and all they're doing is pouring out these silverfish because of the infested potion, which means I get loads of XP. Apart from the armadillo issue, which I think might have been a bug, this farm is so easy to set up, and I'm really glad I made it. Anyway, I don't need this XP. It feels like a bit of a waste, but I'm just gonna turn it off now. And so now that we have made the farm, I think it's about time that we treat it with some respect and make the build surrounding it. And so without further ado, it is the moment that I have been waiting for. I'm so excited to make this build. We're gonna jump into a time lapse and put together the main structure in today's video. As the sun is just nicely coming up, let's have a look at this build. We love a little shack on this channel. We've got one over here as well. I just think they bring the world to life. You can really imagine someone living in a little shack like this. I also read a book recently called Where the Crawdads Sing. Very famous book. But the main character in that book lives in a little shack, and constantly throughout the book they're referring to the shack. And this is sort of what I pictured in my head. I pictured a kind of beat down shack with any logs that they could find, and it's being held together by supports like this. I know there's a movie for that book as well, but I've not seen that. Anyway, coming inside nicely compact is the XP farm. It looks so much different now that it's indoors. It fills the whole space in here. That's absolutely fine. That's what we wanted it to do. But this is what I'm talking about when I say decorating your farms is just so worth it. I could have built this farm under that custom mountain over there, or I could have just buried it underground somewhere, you know, in that mountain, who knows. But instead I've decided to decorate the whole thing with a custom made shack and a lovely little pier on the side of the water, which allows for boat access, which you know we love in this world. But as I'm sure you can see, there's one part of this terraforming that looks like it's been hit by a meteor, and it's because it is unfinished. You've probably seen the thumbnail already, so you probably know exactly what's going to go in this little spot. So I see no reason to not just crack on with the build right now and get it up. It is time to tie together this whole build and the farm inside of it with a very special custom tree. We have made quite a few custom trees in this world now, but I don't think anything is gonna beat this. I've never made a tree big enough where the overhang actually causes a shadow underneath, and that gives such a cool effect that I didn't realize it was gonna give. I really tried to make this tree look very natural by blending it into the rock below, and then using blocks as well that aren't wood per se, but do look like a worn down old wood, particularly tough. It's a really good block for building trees with. Another tricky point as well with a tree like this is trying to make it look good all the way around. This tree behind me kind of sucks from this angle, but from this angle where I took the thumbnail shot of the video where I made this tree, it looks a lot better. So with this tree, I really tried to make it look good all the way around. I knew that you'd be coming across this bridge a lot, and so you're going to see it from this angle, and I think it looks all right. Maybe it looked a little bit funky with that maybe it looks a little bit funky with that bit pouring over the side. I might touch that up, I don't know, but I think it looks fine. It gives the impression that it's leaning and it's worn, which I think's pretty cool. I know for a fact that this is the best tree I've ever made. It really does stand out. Also, I placed that fence here for my horse. I thought that was smart. It really does stand out compared to all the other trees that I've ever made. And yeah, I'm very proud of this tree. I think it's a good landmark in the town of Wollington. Before we close out this video, I do want to talk quickly a little bit more seriously about the creative process and making things like this shed and this tree. I absolutely love being creative and just thinking of new ideas to make in this world. I've talked about that a lot in the past, and I've made videos dedicated to sort of the creative process and how to not burn out, how to make a forever world last, things like that. But I know that my videos are pretty fast paced and we get things done, we crack on in my videos. And I really want to make sure that I'm not giving the impression that it all just comes super easy. As I say, love the freedom and creative process of Minecraft, but I must say, trying to make this tree, which is something completely new to me, was very painful at times. The way that I made this one was I was very particular with every single block that I placed, and that seemed to be the only way that I got a product that I was happy with, but it took a lot of trial and error. So even though I made this tree in maybe a 30-second time lapse in this video, trust me, it took a couple days. The same thing goes for this shed as well. There was a few draft buildings that I made and put in its place and I didn't like, and I had to scrap them, and that was a lot of time spent that just kind of went down the drain. I think the reason that I'm bringing this up is kind of talking to those other Minecraft players that are playing a forever world or making builds and they just can't seem to get a product that they like. I want to make it clear that that is incredibly normal, and my advice would be to just keep going, keep trying to enjoy the process, and you will eventually reach... Ooh, pillager. And you will eventually reach a product that you're happy with and are happy to put in your world, but it's just very important that you don't get discouraged if things don't work the first try. Also, I've got to say, my biggest tip is do not be afraid to just scrap what you've been working on, get rid of it and start again. Sometimes that can be the savior when you're trying to, you know, mock up a build in survival or creative. I guess now that we're talking about it as well, I will put some photos on screen of what I was doing when I was planning the build in this area. I didn't actually have the tree planned originally. I just had the plan for a build on the side of a cliff here. But yeah, I'll put some photos on screen of the drawing that I did for a little cabin here. I do like to take a little sketch pad sometimes and draw what I would actually like to see in my world. I find that to be a very good way to plan out ideas. Something like that might work for you, it might not, but finding your own process, I'm going to hide in here because mobs are coming out. Finding a process that works for you is pretty handy as well. So I guess it goes back to that point of not being afraid to start over and delete something. If your processes aren't working, don't be afraid to switch it up. Try draw, try paint, try write ideas down, I don't know. But it doesn't matter what anyone else does, just try find something that works for you. And so ladies and gentlemen, now that I've slept and got rid of all those mobs, I think it's time that we wrap up this video. I'm glad we had that little chat right at the end of this video here, just talking about the creative process a bit and my process with this build. Minecraft is so fun, and this forever world that I've been playing on has been great recently. I've been really enjoying it, so I can't wait to make some more videos soon and get some more builds up and just keep growing my world pretty much. So if you did enjoy the video, then let me know your thoughts down below and I'll take a look at those. But without further ado, I'm going to end this one here, and I hope to see you very shortly in the next video. Goodbye!